Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Australian Vintage Computer Collectors Zoom Catch-Up for February 2022. Before I begin, I'd like to point out that this is being recorded so others can view later. I'd like to welcome the newcomers to this chat first and ask them to introduce themselves before we catch up with everybody else and see what we have been up to for the last period since we've seen you. So I'd like to welcome Vince, who's new here today. So Vince, if you wouldn't mind just telling us something about yourself in terms of how you got here and what you collect, we'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah, sure. I guess I started collecting probably about 10 or 12 years ago. Some sort of switch turned on in my head, and I started buying up old hardware that I used to own when I was a teenager. So first machine I owned was a Mac LC2. I had one of those for about 5 years, and then all the kids at school were swapping games for PC. So I made the switch to a DX4. And then I started, delving into the world of DOS and Windows. And I've been using Windows for the last 20, 25 or 30 years. Software developer by trade.
Cool.
But I've got a liking for old Macs and machines around the early 90s era.
Cool.
So I just thought I'd try and find some like-minded people, because no one I know is into retro computing or wants anything to do with old machines. So here I am.
Well, welcome. You're in good company.
You're not looking hard enough, because there's so many people out there now that are collecting this stuff.
Yeah.
And since you like apples, and we've just been joined by Adrian Franulovic, you'll want to get in contact with him for sure.
Yeah, have a look over his shoulder. There's a few gems in Adrian's back there.
Yeah, where are you, Vince?
Sorry, I don't have a webcam at the moment.
No, where are you?
Sorry. I'm in Parramatta, New South Wales.
Parramatta. Oh,
yeah.
Northmead, just down the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
very close.
Have a look for the NozFest Facebook page.
What was that, NozFest?
NozFest.
Okay.
Join that, and I'll let you know when the next one is.
Fantastic.
Cool. Are you into 8-bit apples or just the Mac line, Vince?
I would love a Mac Classic, a 512K. Even though I've never owned one before. Definitely love to go down that route and get at least one 8-bit machine.
You need to go further back. You need an Apple II and go from there. Yes, just start back earlier. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, there's only so much room here. So my new thing is that if I'm going to buy a new machine, I've got to get rid of an old one. So it's only limited space.
It's a challenging rule.
Yeah.
The easy answer is to get more space.
Absolutely. Very good. Well, what we'll do, Vince, is we're going to now go around the room and talk about what everyone's been doing. But before we do that, have you been doing anything interesting in the last month or so with your old computers, or just collecting them at this stage?
I rotate them probably once a week. So today I pulled out my LC2, and I'm just trying to get the printer going. So one thing I'm going to be working on over the next week is trying to refill the ink cartridge, because they don't obviously make them anymore. So got to see if there's a way I can drill a hole and refill it with some ink or something like that.
I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
I'm sure those refill kits are still readily available. Oh, very good. Very good. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you what I've been doing. And unfortunately, my list isn't very big or interesting. But the first thing I would like to do is share something we spoke about at the last meeting. And how do I do that? I click here and I go share screen and I pick the window. So we talked about an eBay auction for a Commodore 65 that was up last month. And it sold. Now, this Commodore 65, for those who don't remember, here we are. For those who don't remember, was not working and was missing keys and was missing critical chips. So I'm just going to bring that up on the screen if I can figure out how to do that. Is it this one? Yes. All right. So on this window here, you can see the eBay auction. It sold for $23,270.
What in the world?
So
Postage.
as you can see, it's missing the number 6. It's missing critical chips. And it sold for the tidy sum of $23,000.
Did it actually sell? Is that legit?
Well, if you look at the bids, I'm not surprised that it sold, but I thought that the guy was asking way too much. Where's the bids on this?
Only 11 bids.
Where do I see that? Oh, there we go. That's what I want to click on. Thank you.
Is that a
So-
special type of Commodore?
Yeah, it's one that never sold.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I never heard of it before. So it's,
I am the proud owner of a fully operational one, which is what caught my interest with this particular unit. But I thought the guy was dreaming. It's apparent
15,000.
Yeah.
I'll buy yours off you, Anthony, for what, $3,000? 4, 5.
Yeah, so I was a little bit impressed that a broken non-operational one would sell for 23,000. But there you go. There is value in this stuff. All right, there's that covered. I've just acquired a bunch of magazines. This is not interesting to most people. For Commodore Magazine, which was a magazine that Commodore outsourced to an Australian publisher, and it's not very well known. So I've been scanning and putting on archive.org. I fired up my Atari Jaguar for the first time in about 15 years. And that was inspired by the fact that I put a pre-order in for this this Jag SD card cartridge that's been on offer for some time, but they had production issues. They finally became available, and I paid the ridiculous price of postage from US, which is just absolutely appalling. So I fired it up, and it does still work, and I played some delightful games on that. I found some Sega Attic magazines, which was a magazine from a computer users group from 1985 here in Victoria. I put them on archive.org. It was kind of interesting. Other than that, I've just had a bad eBay experience today. I decided that I was going to sell a printer on eBay. And for those who have sold on eBay, excuse me, I use the postage calculator that eBay has, where you put in the dimensions.
No.
Put in the dimensions, and you put in the weight, and it calculates the postage based on your area. And generally speaking, it's pretty good. Except today, the auction purchaser, he bought the printer for $80. Shipping to Western Australia, calculated postage was $63. And he said the website quoted $20. Why are you upping the price by $40? I said, I didn't do that. And anyway, we got into a dispute, and I canceled the auction. But yeah, pretty bad experience. But
I was gonna say it probably sounds like it sold for about $75 more than it's worth. What kind of printer was it? Was it a Dottie?
it was a wide carriage, 162 character IEEE 488 PET printer.
Okay.
So it's a dot matrix printer for the PET series. And so it's not a common printer. And so a pet collector would like it. But yeah, anyway.
How much did you say you sold it for?
I sold it for $80.
I would have thought if it's a pet, it would be worth a lot more, or does no one care about printers?
No one
Yeah.
cares about
really.
printers.
One of the places I procure equipment from had a Epson LQ 1070-esque/P2, you know, the good ones. I thought I can't leave this behind because these were so highly regarded and are still in regular use in many places today. Still sitting there, no interest in it, unfortunately. I would have killed for one of those back when they were new. They were a rugged, high quality Dottie that you couldn't kill, which is probably why I can't sell it. Because people that bought them are still using them. All 24 pins work perfectly, and the ribbon wasn't dried out. But anyway, I'm rambling. But
You can take over from now, Ian, because I'm done.
you're done. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand why the postage calculator let you down, and
I don't think it did.
And
Mark McGowan let us down. That's
yeah,
what-
and why anyone from Perth, and it's kind of interesting with the borders with the WA Fort, what do they call it, Fort WA or whatever. My eBay sales to to Western Australia have gone ballistic because there's probably nothing else to do there. They're bored and they got money. So I've been sending a ton of stuff to WA this past 2 years. But who in their right mind would expect a wide carriage dot matrix printer
It weighs 16 kilos.
Weighs 16 kilos to be shipped for $20 is beyond me. And even if eBay erroneously said that, if I was the buyer of it, I'd be like, no, I'm going to be, even $60 sounds on the low end of what
It also depends entirely how far out of the main city you are.
Yeah,
where you're sending it to.
I have collectors all up the west coast of Western Australia that I've sent stuff to. They can spend twice as much as what they buy things from me in just the shipping up to places like Karratha and Exmouth and places like that.
Yeah, they're on a disadvantage over there because they got to pay all the huge postage to get it over there. And then when they sell it, nobody wants to pay the postage back.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been I did a rescue mission during the week for Murray there. Doing my bit to help out our friends at the ACMS. A computer I'd never heard of and never even saw a picture of it until Murray sent me the email with the picture. A Seiko, as in the watch guys.
Have a look on eBay, on Google for any information.
Yeah, a Seiko 8300, basically a CPM system with dual 8-inch drives. Probably cost a mozza when it was new, and it had to be picked up and removed from this place, not terribly far from me, by yesterday.
It was a good distance.
Yeah, so I was sort of pleased to go and pick that one up, and it's sitting in my place safely here. It's got its matching keyboard and a couple of cables, but the gentleman who was donating it was not able at this stage to find the manuals and software and 8-inch discs for it. So
thankfully, I had an Seiko 8300. And my computing teacher threw it out in 2001, thinking it was trash. So I still have all the discs and manuals and the keyboard and nothing else.
Oh,
so
wow.
We're going to be fine.
So sometime in March, hopefully that should hitch a ride with someone up to Sydney and we'll get it enough. But it's the machine. It's too heavy and flimsy to send through the post and too expensive to send. They are
massive. I don't know how my computing teacher threw it out. Apparently, he had 3 students carry it to a bin, and I lost it.
So that was a bit of fun. So I got that there, and
your parcel hopefully will be picked up tomorrow, Ian. So.
Yes, Murray's helped me out in kind with some 50-year-old brakes for a vintage Mazda. So that we'll help each other out.
Happy to do it.
You think vintage computers are hard to keep running? You try classic cars once they're 50+ years old.
Oh wow! I just found an ad for this computer.
Mine's only 43 years old, so it's good. It's in the workshop at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Are you having a look at it, Anthony?
Yeah.
What did
that
you
is
find?
a pretty cool looking computer. I'll just
share your screen again.
Yeah, I will.
There's nothing on Google. Everything on Google just tells you about watches.
So here is an Instagram post of an ad for the 8300. So it's got that.
It's the lower one.
It's the lower one there. Yep. Did you get the printer too?
No.
He said he had it, but when I got there, he couldn't find it. So I said to him, I'll happily go back there and pick it up if he finds any other accessories or things to go with it. But no printer at this stage. But it's a serious and expensive computer that it has a key to start it, not a power switch.
So 62K of RAM and 2K of ROM.
Yeah.
There's no price there.
No.
Yeah, if you have to ask, then you can't afford it.
Obviously.
That's why I'm guessing that there's like 2 that came to Australia. That one and the one that Adrian's teacher piffed. That's probably it. So that was a bit of fun. And apart from that, I've just been sort of eBaying like mad, trying to save money to go overseas, which has been quite a lot of fun. I'm sort of learning. I know this is going to bore all of you senseless, but I sort of got a big box of Visa Local Bus 486 cards, and I've been sorting them out. And I'm surprised that the collectors of that shit are mainly in the Baltic nations in Europe. Of the cards that I have auctioned and put on eBay, maybe 50% of them have gone to either Romania, Latvia, Poland, or Moldova, to collectors who seem to have no problem deciding to buy $100 card and then pay, $30 or more in postage plus taxes when it arrives in their country to get their hands on these things. And
which is funny because if you buy stuff from those areas into Australia, the freight's usually really cheap.
Yeah, I know. That's freight. I used to work in the freight industry, so I know a little bit about it. But I find it very interesting, that one of the reasons I'm successful in the TRS-80 world is because I can send a device from my hard drive emulator, the Fred hard drive emulator. I can send one of those to the United States for around $16, whereas for them to send the same device to me back would cost them $48. So I have a successful business from that point of view, because people are saying, oh, the device works, it arrives, and the shipping's cheap.
Is that because your mates in the States send it there for you?
No, nothing like that.
You're sending it from Australia.
It's going from Australia, yep. And as long as I can get it under 500 grams, which is easy.
Oh, I suppose it is pretty small. It's no.
And I'm on band 4, I think, with if you do any e-commerce with
you're on band 4. I'm band 1. I was on band 2 once. That was great.
Yeah, I'm on band 4, so I'm doing hundreds of parcels a month now. So I get a good rate. But if I had to charge full shipping, people would be like, or buy an alternative or something else. So, but yeah, Visa Local Bus cards. For some reason, Matrox, which everyone knows as a quality GPU video card manufacturer, local bus versions of their cards are extremely rare for some reason. Everyone knows they're PCIs, but the earlier things, they're going silly money. Good to
know. Good to know. So, very good.
I'll that's all I can think of for the moment. But if I think of anything else, I'll just butt in.
Yeah, cool.
Is there going to be a like a get together sometime soon, Ian? Or
I needed some stuff the other day, and I went all the way to the swap meet, which was running. And ran into Alan, the guy who runs the swap meets, and sort of I tried to, like, I don't want to have the conversation because he's been anxious for us to come back, but he saw me and come back and said, "Hey, when are you guys coming back, mate? Big draw card." So we've got to get our sorry asses back there in March. I think we got to do something.
Which venue is it?
Hungarian Centre.
Yeah, well, the ones that we can probably best would be either Keysborough or Hungarian Centre. Where's that?
Boronia Road.
Boronia, yeah. And there's also one in the north at a place that's not the RMIT, but it's not far from there. So we can choose any. We can choose any of those. But yeah, I said we'd get ourselves back there. I think we're clear enough that Daniel Andrews is not going to lock us down again, which was what was kind of ruining our mojo with as far as trying to regularly have these get-togethers. So fingers crossed, March.
Cool.
Hey, March, because I'm going on holiday for the first week of March, so I'm not doing anything between now and then.
Cool. Great. Who's next? I'm going to pick someone.
I can do it if you want. If you can.
Go, Craig. Go, go, go.
So I've had a big month. I actually did a run down to Melbourne and met Dave. Dave bought some pet ROMs and RAMs and chips off me, which was great. But I went down to pick up one of my wish lists, which was a S100 system from Applied Technology.
Cool.
I got a DG680 card. I got a MW640 card and some other bits and pieces, a RAM card and a S100 motherboard. I was very happy to get that. That was been after that for a long time. And I thought that was going to be all I'd have this month. But I also got, and I'm not going to lift it up because it's too heavy, I picked up a full Exidi Sorcerer system.
I saw it. You got it, Craig.
I got it.
Was it $1,200 or $1,500? I think something like that. Was it?
Don't say that out loud. My wife might hear you.
But I thought that is a deal. That is a deal. And I just thought you don't get those expansion modules.
No, expansion module alone. I mean, I've already got a Sorcerer, but to get a Sorcerer, another Sorcerer, Australian version, plus an S100 module, plus, and this was what blew me away, plus the Mini Scribe S100 controller, plus 2 Mini Scribe drives.
Oh, wow.
Plus a CMS period appropriate monitor. I was just like, yes, okay. So I tried to talk him down, but he knew what he had. He wasn't interested in going down. And I was more interested in getting it before someone else did. So he was like about an hour from where I am. So I was like, I did the deal in like 45 minutes. Bang, I'll be there tonight.
Where'd you buy the stuff? So it wasn't on eBay or anything. Where was it advertised?
It was on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it came up in the list. And I saw it and it had already been up there for 45 minutes. And I went, well, there's no point. Someone's already taken it. It's already gone. It's already gone. So I sent him a message and said, is this still available? And he goes, yeah, it's still available. And at that point, my head exploded because it's like, where am I going to get the money from? So I had to promise all sorts of.
I think the reason it was still up after 45 minutes was all the potential buyers are begging to their significant others not to get in too much trouble for buying it.
They were all being told Valentine's Day's coming up. Valentine's Day's coming up. What's it worth? 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 So I managed to get through that process quicker than all the rest of the guys, and I managed to score it. And once I get these K-Pros, I've got three of my cache of K-Pros going. I've got 7 of these K-Pros here. I've got 3 of them up and running. I put a 4th one on the bench today, and it's got no 5 volts on the power supply. And I don't know whether I want to deal with a switch mode power supply. But I also touched base with the FujiNet guys. And for those of you who have got Ataris and everything, know all about FujiNet. And I'm working with one of the developers there to do a FujiNet interface for generic Z80 systems, S100,
oh, sweet.
Pros, and we're going to use an SPI port, and or we'll either bitbang the SPI, or one of the guys is going to do a 165/595 interface for ones that have 8-bit parallel, and we're going to see if we can get FujiNet running, which would be great because I've already got a soft BDOS that I can use that will access the file system, so it'll look just like a file system to a CPM system, and hopefully we can get it running on a TRS-80 as well, even if it's just for SSH or being able to access the network.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to doing that.
Cool. That is a very big month.
Yeah, it's been an enormous month. Yeah.
So how many minutes did you work on trying to get the price down before you realized that you were putting yourself in jeopardy?
About 35 seconds.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, all right, you got me.
It's like, can you do it for 1,200? He goes, no. And I go, oh, crap. All right, fine.
Yeah, he knew what he had.
So I was, I'm really happy. I'd literally just a week or so before given up on. I'd seen the Sorcerer, then I went, okay, you're never going to have an S100 box to go with you. I'm sorry, it's just never going to happen. And of course, once I had come at peace to that conclusion, bang, one pops up.
Just a question. You say the Sorcerer and you say the S100 box. Is that an actual expansion for the Sorcerer, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Ah,
let me just grab it and I'll show you. It's got a linear power supply in it. So it weighs a freaking ton. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Big ass linear power supply with a transformer, mini scribe card at the back there.
Where's the drive?
So is that standalone, or it has to run with the Sorcerer?
No, it's got to run with the Sorcerer. It's got a 50. You can see the dangly cable there. Plugs into the back of the Sorcerer.
Nice.
So, and it comes with 2 mini scribe hard sector drives. Very, hard sector. Which
8-inch.
No, 5.25.
Oh, didn't know they did hard sector 8.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
What's that cable? What's that cable?
Yeah.
Did you connect the internet?
That's fine. So yeah, hard sector drives. Hard sector drives are okay. Getting disk form is almost impossible, but there is a guy who makes a little template. You put a normal soft sector drive in it and punch all the holes. So you can actually make hard sector drives that way. Or I could just put a GoTech in it. So we'll see how we go.
Cool.
But that's more a long-term project. I've got to get he said it works. He had it all working, but he said occasionally it sort of glitches out. So I suspect there's a dodgy connector or something in there as well. So at some point I'll need to get back to that. But I need to get these K-Pros off my desk and out. That was part of the deal. I can't play with that until I get some of the other stuff out. The rule, like someone else said, the rule is you can get a new one, but you've got to get the old ones out. So I was like, oh no.
Where can you hide them?
Like women. Yeah. Well, I might go next. Seeing you were talking S100, I had been assuming you're finished.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. I'll try to share my screen. See how that works.
Yep, should be good to go.
So, all right, you can see that.
Yep.
So
nice.
that's my Msxs, and that's after I installed the extra connectors, because and on the back side there's about 1900 solder joints in the entire main board, because there's 19 slots. So I put in about 9, because when I bought it, that had every second slot.
Yeah.
So I bought some new old stock connectors. I soldered them all in. When I finished, I thought to myself, I better check to see if I get any short circuits. And unfortunately, I had a short between 2 pins. Now, because it's all the pins are in parallel, that made it pretty hard to work out where it was. But so what I did is I put a blank card in one end with a multimeter across the pins, and I was getting like 0.8 of an ohm, and I was getting 0.7 of an ohm and 0.6. So I narrowed it down to a couple of pins, a couple of slots, and I desoldered those couple of pins, and as luck have it, I fixed the short. So what had happened is, on the other side of the board, there was no shorts, but I must have been a bit too. I wanted to make sure the solder got all the way through, and I must have put a little bit too much solder in, so they sort of clumped together and shorted out some pins. So that was a bit depressing, because as you can probably imagine, desoldering one connector with 100 pins, you'd probably destroy the board in the process, and it was 1976 vintage. So I got that running, which is good. So now I can put some more cards in my system. So that's what I had been doing recently. One of the things I bought too, actually, before I turn this screen sharing off, the company I work for is celebrating its 60 years in a few months' time, and I've been there for 30 or 33 actually. And my mate who used to be the ex-boss, who's actually now retired, I chatted to with a bit of history and some of the stuff that I did. So just a little bit of history here. So this is where we used to sell these, where I used to work, and I used to repair these. Now, even though these are from the 70s, when I started in 1987, I used to repair these. So if anyone's seen that, looking to buy one, because, well, my work wants to buy a few things to have a little display cabinet. So that's pretty cool, because it means that I can get them and play with them and then stick them at work in a display cabinet. So that's just a terminal, but with paper. we also sold these terminals. So they were deck terminals. This was from the early 80s. This thing was all metal. It would that keyboard, you could kill people with that keyboard. It's like a K-Pro keyboard, actually, you know, all metal chassis, or probably aluminium. So that's another device and some similar visual. If anyone's got any dumb terminals that are Visual brand, Visual Technologies Incorporated, I think they are, so let me know. And this was a laptop we used to sell, which was called a Visual Commuter, twin 5.25-inch floppies, no battery, and half of a 80 by 12 column display. So you had to press some control sequence to see the other half of the screen. So it still had like CGA compatible, but you could only see half the screen at the time. Pretty dumb, but that's what it was. So that's
drives 3.5 or 5.25.
No, they're 5.25.
Blimey.
Yep. So it was pretty big, and it didn't. It was portable, but no battery.
Alley Cat would have been terrible on that. You wouldn't even be able to see the cat near the bins.
Look, it's got a, you know, it's got the usual connector on the back, so you can connect an external monitor to it as well. So, you know,
how many just sold, you reckon?
What's that?
How many sold? I'm thinking...
When I started in '87, terminals like this, but in the plastic case, not the metal case, we used to get, you know, 20-foot shipping containers in each week. We used to sell hundreds and hundreds or thousands of terminals. It was sort of at that point where they were still being connected to mainframes and this and that, even though this was 1987, you know, pieces that there was still a lot of, you know, big companies where banks and whatever that, you know, they had terminals everywhere, serial terminals. So
I was going to say that looks like the sort of thing a bank or a government department would just love. That'd be.
Oh, look. So DEC Visual VT100, you know, terminal emulation. So, you know, it emulates that sort of stuff. So we even sold the ones that emulated Tektronix graphics and all that sort of stuff and things like that. So I'm doing a little bit of a history for the company and going through all bits and pieces. And obviously the first half with all the computer stuff's quite interesting to me. I'll stop sharing that. One thing I bought too, I got in just recently. So it's a little board. Basically what it is, it's from the CPU, I think it's CPU Shack. So this one is for the Intel 8080. So if you want to test the CPU, you can put the CPU in there, press some buttons and some lights flash. So what I didn't want to do with my Msxs is, you know, I didn't want to blow anything up. So I thought, well, it'd be nice to have a way to test the CPU because I don't have anything else that does an 8080. And I'm an Intel fan myself, and one of my best mates who's into computing and gaming is like, Intel's crap, AMD's better. Yeah, I'm talking about the modern stuff at the moment. So I said to him, my Msxs got an AMD CPU, so I've got to get that garbage out of it. I've got to find an Intel one. Now, unfortunately, Intel 8080 CPUs date correct can be quite expensive. So I found a Tesla brand one and a Russian clone one. I said, anything's better than this AMD crap. So yes, I'm a big Z80 fan as well. I've got a lot of Z80 bits and pieces and several K-Pros as well. But my Msxs had a Z80 board in it originally. I've still got it, but I had to get a 8080 one to make it, you know, more sort of correct. Because of the Z80 has built-in refreshing. It causes all the address lines to toggle through when you're not doing stuff, which makes the lights on the front not look as nice. So
yeah, it's true.
So yeah, I've just been mucking around with that. I bid on, but I didn't win a little chess computer. I'm sort of collecting some chess computers because they've got microprocessors, and this one in particular had a 6502 CPU in it, which is pretty cool. So I've got a couple of them that use these Fairchild ones, and I'm trying to get one that has an Intel. Apparently, the world's first chess computer had an Intel 8080, but as usual, anything that's the world's first, when you buy them, can be quite expensive or rare. So, but
Steve Jobs.
Wow, yeah, Apple one, yeah.
Like no, it's just what you put on the eBay listing. Steve Jobs, rare. It was on the auction, irrespective. Steve Jobs, rare, first, original.
Oh, yeah.
Signatures inside the case, yes, rare.
Well, the funny thing is like that the price, obviously an Apple one, you know, crazy dollars, but that the Commodore 65, did you say 65?
Yeah, 65.
What, they never released it, is that the case? Is it?
That is correct. That is correct. So Pat was the one who showed me the auction, and Pat wasn't here when we spoke about it. So the Commodore 65 was supposed to be the successor to the Commodore 64 for the early 90s. Unfortunately, the development project kept getting stalled, and they got to basically alpha stage and never released it. So when Commodore was liquidated, this machine was discovered. So there was 20 working ones sold, of which I happen to have inherited one through someone I bought 20 plus years ago. So I got lucky.
So how much did you pay for it back then, or did you get it for free?
I paid the princely sum of $1,000.
Back then?
Yep, 20 years ago.
Wow.
I knew it was rare.
Yeah, I guess.
He bought it for $99 from Grapevine, who were a distributor when they were liquidating Commodore. And now they've released this Mega 65. I don't know if you are familiar or have heard about this, but this is basically a completed Commodore 65, and that's being sold right now and is got an impending release. So only 20 plus years late, but I'm sure it's going to be okay. I mean, you look at successes like the Spectrum Next, basically it's something of that nature, but it's got some origins that are authentic. It should be interesting to see, but I don't think it's actually going to have any of the original chips, but it'll have the original functionality. Yeah, so there you go.
So that's probably all I've really done lately. Sort of only just got back from holidays, but you know, school holidays sort of ties up a bit of your time to not do your own stuff. But I noticed the other day, just quickly talking about Apples. I don't know if any of you guys like watching this YouTube guy. He's got Look Mum No Computer. It's got in the UK. He does music stuff. It's all retro stuff, and he also the museum of everything else, I think it is, or something like that. But he actually got this big load of computers for free just recently. Well, seems like almost for free, and there was probably about, I don't know, 4 or 5 like Apple IIIs in there. So a whole heap of stuff, some pets and this and that. Apple IIIs are probably not that cheap these days either, I guess.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Yeah. So
that's
yeah,
cool. And he's in the UK, is he?
Yeah, he's in the UK. So yeah, so he's got a museum that he's set up, and he's a musician, and he just gets crazy things and like modifies them, and like has a wall of Game Boys and he has them hooked up and he plays sound through them and stuff like that. But you know, if there's a computer with some software that can connect to some type of MIDI interface, he wants it. So but pretty interesting.
Cool. Very good.
But otherwise that's me.
Well, I'm going to move up to Murray so I can complete where we're up to. So Murray, tell us what you've been doing.
Now. I've got all the stuff. Had an interesting trip down to Canberra recently. I'll just show you what I picked up. There we go. Click share. Tape drive.
Nice.
Wow.
And from what
looks like it also has some women's stockings in it.
I was just going to say, did it come with the pantyhose?
No, they were extra.
That's what you had to put over your head when you went and stole it from wherever it was, does it?
He put this up for sale for $200 and it says it's working. The let's see.
Uses it to say, how does he know it's working?
The only issue with it working as such is that it will pull the tape in. Apparently you put the tape in that spool and it uses a vacuum of some sort to suck the tape onto the next spool. And will do various things with it, but the actual card to interface that to a computer is missing.
Oh, so it's definitely working.
So it's working, but
It's
sort of standalone working, not.
Is that to interface a PDP-11 or something, or has it got a SCSI interface? You're not sure.
I believe it's a SCSI interface from what I've read in the documentation.
It might, if you say it's got no card, we'll have to look at the interface. I've got a similar one, but it's an upright reel-to-reel thing. And they have like they call it a PERTEC interface, and has 2 50-pin connectors on it. And it was a standard they used for a long time for tapes back in the day.
Got about three slots at the back, I think, with cards and a connector at the back.
So where was that? Where was that listed?
I was just trying to find it. I think it might have been Facebook Marketplace.
I'm too hopeless with that with Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, you've got to be at the right place at the right time. And I also picked up a file card. Anybody know what that is?
Sounds like one of those hard drive controllers that on an Isobus.
Yep. That's pretty much it.
That have the card. So the hard drive on the card. Some of them are called hard cards and stuff like that. Perfect. Oh my god! It's a full width card.
Does that hard drive spin up?
I think he said it's flaky, but I haven't tried it. I haven't.
From memory, when RMIT in the 80s, there was around the corner from the RMIT building I was in. There was this computer recycle place, and in Carlton, and they had a barrel full of these things, and they wouldn't spin. But if you got the platter, you can actually sort of get a little, carefully with a screwdriver in there, and just sort of give it a go, or hold the thing and sort of give it a
twist. Yeah, the friction issue. Yeah.
Obviously, you could put some lube on it, but you wouldn't want the lube to leak through the bearing and get on the surface. But those particular drives seem to be notorious for that, but once they start, they run.
Late 80s, early 90s, there was a bunch of Mac SEs that came out with the same thing, and you turn them on and they go. You pick the whole Mac up and go like this, and come straight up. Yeah, same sort of thing.
It's funny the fact that they did them when they were new.
I've got one of those hard cards coming up on eBay next week. I picked it up in my travels in Vic Country a couple of weeks ago. I haven't got around to doing anything with it. It seems a little bit more sophisticated than that one.
Okay.
In that it doesn't have a Tandon drive. It's got some other skinnier drive. Maybe you'll have more luck. But Stuart, you mentioned a place in Carlton. Was that Jack Bart's, about 50 meters from RMIT, and it's just electronic surplus place?
We'll put it this way. Building 56 and 57 is where I went to RMIT, did my electronics and computers course originally. And that was, I think, Queensbury and Lygon on the corner. So the building, that Queensbury and Lygon in Victoria, for those others around Australia, you walked out this laneway of RMIT and it was just there next to it. Now, I don't know, no idea what the name was. It almost looked like you'd go in there and inside there was just like loads and loads. So we'd go on their lunch breaks and afterwards and stuff. So this was from 87 till 90 or something like that. So no idea the name, but everything was like $5 or something each.
Yeah, I think it's the same one. I went there in the 90s, and some of the stuff I turned down because I had no use to it. But I'd buy 5 1/4 half height 5 1/4 drives. I think they were like $30, which sounds a lot for the time, but you're still paying $120 for a good used one at the time.
Oh, but brand new back in the late 80s, they were like thousands for hard drives.
But he had there one day 2 IBM RS6000 towers, and I'm like, do I really need these things? They're humongous, and the fact that they're here means they must be around. I won't worry about them this time. I've never seen an RS6000 computer since, and I bet they're probably a real collector's item now.
I put one on eBay a couple of weeks ago. It got destroyed in transit. It sold for $400, and I lost it all.
I'm laughing with you.
Yeah,
boy,
yeah, good times.
Yeah.
And we had a fellow come down from Orange and delivered about half a dozen fruit boxes full of magazines to the ACMS. And I can't remember whether this one was in it or not, but I've finally finished scanning the 100 pages. So they're up on archive.org, and there's an interesting article in there, Pat, about the peach, which is good to read. And you wanted to know what the
what's the computer of the future?
Computer of
what's the
future?
Computer of the future?
The RS6000.
It's the RS6000. Oh my
Here we
god,
go.
it looks like a shitty AT.
Yeah, it doesn't
Like a
look very
Commodore
exciting
Colt.
to me at all.
1000.
What does it say? What is it?
Fujitsu, right?
Uh,
It's got to be a Fujitsu.
I haven't really read the article fully, but it doesn't.
What year is it? The magazine, at least, so we can.
It was 87. and that's-
1987.
Yeah, so that's why I thought it was a 386.
Either that or
it
it's like
doesn't-
it's an IBM. It's like the PS2
PS2.
model 74.
I think it might be PS2. IBM PS2.
He's the only
It's
old
the
guy I
PS2.
know that doesn't read the magazines for their articles.
Yeah. But I found this book the other day, which is quite exciting and ridiculous
Hang on,
price.
Murray.
secondhand.
Are you not going to tell us what the computer was?
You
man.
said
I'll
you were
scan
going
the
to.
article and send it to you later.
You promised in Facebook that you were going to share with us tonight. We are not
That's
going
true.
to
Okay,
accept
after I
this.
finish talking, I'll sit and read it.
All right, great.
The
Great.
exciting part of this one is that it came from a library
That's
It
very
hasn't been
exciting.
returned.
Okay.
and it still has the card in the thing.
How many stamps has it got indicating how many people have borrowed it?
The first one was June 1980.
Hmm.
And then it went up to 1990.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's got all the names and
Is Ian in there?
I always find it interesting when I buy books that are from ex-libraries and have the card in there, and it's had like one person take it out once in its whole lifetime. So I bet the library thought, geez, that was money well spent.
yeah, no, this one
And we got
seemed to
some
be quite popular.
Yeah.
And I saw one secondhand on the internet, and it was going for a ridiculous price.
What is a ridiculous price?
I can't remember. It was hundreds.
Oh,
But it's
wow.
the Irwin Played series. So, what else have I done? Okay, got to read that article. That's about it from me. I
All right,
think.
cool. All right, no worries. Moving down the
I'll
list,
come back
Hey.
to you.
I'm nominating now. Steven.
Ah,
Steven, here we go. Tell us what you've been doing.
Yeah, I've been decapping an Amiga 1200 actually. That was caught just in the nick of time. It's got that capacitor juice all over the board, which I've managed to clean up and hopefully not too much damage. But we're going to have to work through a few more of those 600s, and I've got a real dilemma though, and see what you guys recommend. I've got a new old stock CD32.
Oh, cool.
Sealed, in a box, and I assume same thing's happening to that. And
Yes.
so, what's better, having a destroyed, sealed new old stock, or having a working new CD32? This is what I'm battling with.
working new.
Yeah, working new. I've got one
Depends.
that's been recapped, in box, all that sort of stuff. And first question I get when people are interested in it is, has it been recapped?
Yeah.
Depends if you want to
I
sell
suppose
it.
what's better, working new in box, or put it on eBay completely sealed in box, or did you just buy it? Is it worth a lot being sealed in box, even for those people that don't like opening the boxes?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like those Star Wars figures where you have a sealed box and it adds to the value somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Star Wars figures sealed in box don't destroy themselves.
Yeah, they don't have capacitors.
You're right on that.
True.
Yeah, but apart from that, I've just been buying really, and I've been trying to buy like oddities, especially in Commodore. I showed you that Dream 64 last time from Argentina.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got a couple other things to show you today in the oddity Commodore world. So you may recognise this drive, or you may think you recognise it.
SFD 1000, no, 2031 LP. Yep, cool.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned the other one, because I got that one too.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, this seems to be kind of like a rare one, and this one's in good nick. I've actually got another one of these, but it's in pretty poor condition. But it's got the PET connector on the back.
That's the only pet drive I have.
Yeah, right.
Are you serious? That's the only one, Pat.
I can't afford the other ones. I managed to get that one at a reasonable price. The other ones I can't afford.
Yeah. So
You want a pet printer? I know someone is selling one.
I think I saw that one. I was thinking about it, but I've already got.
How much was the postage? Do you remember? Was it more than $20? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
There's an inside joke there. Someone accused me of ripping them off on postage,
Yeah.
of which I canceled the auction. Okay, so you got. So when did you pick up the SFD? Sorry, the 2031 LP.
That was a few months ago, and the SFD was a bit more recent. As I say, I've already got an SFD existingly, but it's in pretty bad condition, actually. So thought I'd get one that's in a little bit of nick. But yeah, that's it. I'm just on the lookout for that sort of strange stuff, not your average run-of-the-mill stuff, just the strange oddities. So it's interesting to hear that there's another 1001 out there, which is great, and I'm sure there's lots more, but they're getting harder and harder to.
I think you're talking to some people who've got some pretty rare stuff here. So David, I'm not sure if David's been below me, but on my screen he is. David and I think I've got 3 SFD 1001s.
Yeah, I've got 3 as well.
But 2 of them are in horrendous condition. One of them is in mint condition, but no, we try to have every single Commodore drive LP or full height.
Yes.
And just for you, Stuart, I thought I'd get something to show you, a rare oddity. This is what a Commodore 65 looks like.
Oh.
This is a real one. This is it there. See, it's serial number 62. You can see it's got the original Commodore badge on the bottom. Not one that you see every day. Pretty, but this is what exactly the Mega 65 will look like, except, so notice that the Commodore 65 has a place where a logo can go, but there's just no logo. The Mega 65 has its logo.
So there's no branding whatsoever on it.
There is inside on the back. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can line it. You can see this Commodore on there. It says serial number 62. And on the inside, you can see it has a motherboard with Commodore. Oh, it's terrible. I'm sorry. Using a iMac screen as a camera. It's probably not the best strategy to show devices. However, it does have Commodore's custom chips in it. But yeah, very hard to get your hands on. Worth more.
Custom chips. Was that actually like abandoned and then they did the Amiga? Is that what it was?
No, it was made during the Amiga.
Okay.
So some of the technology was similar, if not better than the Amiga, but it was 8-bit. But there was absolutely nothing that took advantage of it. There's mock-up screens, there's graphics. I've got the demo disc that Commodore did to show what it could do. But
so was it still a 6502 in there?
It's its own custom chip, the 4502.
Okay.
So which is their hybrid CSG custom chip. So anyway, there's that. Cool.
So hang on, we both hijacked somebody else's conversation.
Yes, that's right. So we're now back on Stephen. So you've been collecting Commodore drives, which is awesome. Do you have any pets to go with those drives?
Yes. Yeah, I've got the dual pet drive that Dave's got in his background, and I haven't got the single one.
Do you have any pets though?
Yes, I have I have a 2001 and what's the other one? 4032. Something like
sweet.
That. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. So you're amongst friends. There's plenty of Commodore in this group.
I'm just wondering, is anyone ever bothered to buy Commodore people calculator, the Commodore calculator? Just to have one, because I see them every now and then, and I thought, surely, or not, no one cares.
They're good for overclocking, I'm told.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Are they even a Commodore, or they just got a sticker on it that says Commodore?
They are actually Commodore.
Okay.
I'm umming and ahhing on one. It uses the same keys as the original Chiclet Pet.
That's a good one to get.
Yeah, because that's where the keys for the original PET came from. They're actually just repurposed calculator keys.
Well, I've seen they don't seem to
That makes
go for a
sense.
lot of money.
It's not that tiny little keyboard thing.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, look, it was. Look, I know it's still available. It's not on eBay or anything. It's a guy I know over in Germany, and he offered it to me, and I said, it's Christmas, and I've got a few irons in the fire at the moment, so leave it with me. And it was going to be, I think, about 120 euros delivered, but in working condition. It's like
That's not bad.
It's not bad. I am seriously tempted.
Yeah, the hardest part, and I'm sure you can appreciate this, Stuart, is where do you stop?
Yeah, well, no, I know, but look, you guys have like I've got 28 Commodore 64s and 67 of this. I mean, you can stop by not buying more than 2 or 3 of each item, right?
Yeah.
I think if you got 2 or 3 of something, it's probably enough if one breaks down, in my opinion. But each to their own. Mind you, if you can get 10 of something 20 years ago, well, as you all know, it's like they're not getting any cheaper, so that's a bonus. But one of each thing I can understand. People want to have revision A, B, C, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. It's just having the calculator. You can actually use it too. You're sitting next to your device. It's pretty cool, I think. And
it is really cool. A Kim 1 is also something I've been eyeing off, but I know that Dave's got one, I think.
Yeah, I've got one. I'm scared to try and power it up, to be honest. But
which one do you get though? You get the Moss one or the Commodore one?
Well, the Moss one I think is going to be worth more money because that was older. Yeah, it's sort of the original one. I've got one of the really late ones, which is circa actually about 1979. So it's actually quite a late one. So they're obviously still in production well after the PET came on the scene as well. So.
Yeah, I've got the Kim one, and I've also got a Commodore LCD watch. It doesn't work, but it's got like a red fluorescent display. Yeah.
Oh, they're cool. That's cool.
Try and get it going again one day.
Oh, very good.
Well, that's it. That's it for me.
Awesome. David.
Yes, sir. It's been a busy month on my side of things. As Craig touched on beforehand, we did meet up, and he was good enough to sell me a set of RAM and ROM chips for my first generation PET. And we even got some of the
oh wow, the ceramic ones.
The ceramic ones. So the RAM chips are on the left and right, and the ROMs are right up the middle. The ROMs are unobtainium. So thank you very much, Craig.
Are they ROMs or are they actually EPROMs?
No, they're ROMs.
Oh,
they're actually it's not even close to any of the standards. It's actually a 6540. So it's actually a Commodore only type of ROM. So although I believe they made their way into arcade machines, like the very early arcade machines in the early or mid 70s anyway.
I think Mav will probably know, like the TRS-80 Model 1s, some of them had, or maybe all of them had a ROM, but it was like a 2716, but a different pinout, and it was a PROM. So it was almost the same pinout. So I'm wondering if it's a similar type of thing.
You can make adapters, but it's like the early Commodore, like the VIC-20s and the later PETs and the 64s all used like derivatives of the 2364, 2332, that sort of thing. These are nothing like it. They're different altogether. But that's really nice. I've just got to work out a way to test them out first. So
most of your EEPROM programmers probably wouldn't even be compatible to read it.
Not even close. You can get adapters to put and 27 series ROMs in a PET, but got to do that backwards to try and get it in a reader. So so that was really, really good. Stephen was talking about having a 2031. I actually picked up one as well. Came to me from Canada, and it was 2031 LP. Sorry, and I had to do a transformer transplant on that, so I don't accidentally put 240 volts into a 110 transformer and let the magic smoke out. So that was a bit of fun, and that worked perfectly, which was a bit of a surprise. I've got a whole heap of pet stuff, so I've been building up or repairing 2 chiclet-based pets that'll be moving on to fund other projects soon. So,
oh, cool.
So one's got the original motherboard in there, and one's got the later SRAM board. So one's an 8K, one's a 16K. So that's been keeping me busy. Repairing machines, Spectrums, Commodore 128s, Macs. Color Classic came through the door, which is nice. I've been after one of those for a while. So, and surprise, surprise, it has a very, very sick analog board on there. So another thing to fix up. And someone reached out of the blue and said, "Oh, are you interested in MSX stuff?" And I've got a nice little lot of MSX gear coming through in the next couple of weeks, and apparently some quite rare box cartridges in there as well. So that'll be interesting to mess around with.
Cool.
So it's been.
Have you had
busy.
much? Have you played with the MSX stuff much?
No. I've got a Sony, but the transformer's packed up. So I've got another one inbound, which I picked up for a bit of a song. This one's a Yamaha. But also I've got a set of those. What are they? Odyssey, the modern
Magnavox?
recreation. No.
Amiga.
Amiga. Sorry, is it?
Omega.
Yeah. There's a guy. Yeah, that looks like the one. But there's a recreation of the MSX2, so you can get the PCBs. I've had a set of those made up, so I'm going to build up one of those as well. So that way I've got an MSX1 and an MSX2, because it's not exactly my cup of tea, but I'm interested to put one together and see how it goes.
Cool. Great.
While we're talking Commodore stuff, can someone repeat again, what's the model of that Commodore 64 looking floppy drive that has the IEEE 48 on the back that would connect?
There's actually a couple of them. There's the SFD 1001. So that's a double-sided quad density drive. And Stephen, on those, the motor control boards on those are notorious for having capacitor leakage. So look into that. There's also the 2031 LP, which is single-sided, single density. It's basically the same as a 1541, but it's the same mechanism. It's just got a different controller on there.
So they will only work with the PET, or
you can get a expansion cartridge for both the VIC-20 and the 64/128, where you can actually use it as well.
Because it is actually, it is IEEE 488.
Yes.
Yep. Because that's a standard that's, that was on.
It's a HP standard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
HP. But yeah.
Yep.
No, because I actually want to interface on my IMSI lots of different drives. I like to try to interface things that were never supposed to be done before. So, you can. I've got like one of those Atari 400 floppy drives.
You can pick a cheaper drive
with the serial port on them, yeah, and so that's basically serial data you can send, and obviously Commodore 64 is fairly similar too, but IEEE 48 would be a bit easier to interface.
Cool. Anything else, Dave?
No, mate, that's about it for me.
You're up, Rob.
Well, I'll be brief. There's not much this month from me. Basically just some video stuff. I put out a look at Gateway to Apshai on the 64 last night. If anyone's interested in a ye oldie action RPG.
Great game. Great game.
Oh, I have some mixed feelings on it. And I've been doing some stuff looking at the a version of Scramble that was done pretty recently for the Atari 8-bits, and which I got the card of a few months ago. Finally cracked that open, had to play. So that's what I'm working on now. Been doing some stuff for Reset, getting their tires kick-started on issue 15 of that. Reset is a Australian produced magazine for the 64, and we've also finally got our sampler for 15. Yeah, we primarily do digital, but we do a small run of physicals when the issue comes out. 14, we've got the sampler that we put out a few months ago up on itch. And it's a free, free or donate, and then physical copies as well. I think we used to do a companion disc image. I don't know. We used to do physicals of the disc image with the physical run. We only do like a small run. That's all game reviews, a bit of history stuff. So that's been going on. Other than that, I have my favorite sort of 8-bit stick is the zip stick, and this one's got a duff. One of the micro switches died, so I was just browsing eBay, and it came up a dude in Germany had a bunch of replacement switches specifically for it. So it was a cheap buy. So I've got a bunch of replacements. So I'm going to try and crack that stick open and swap the switch. It looks like it doesn't need to be soldered, so it's something I can actually do. And I really haven't done much else, unfortunately. I've not had a chance to get back to doing some Spectrum Next coding. I haven't had a chance to do some other stuff. So yeah, that's really it from me.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, Gateway at FSI, I played that a lot when I was a kid, probably because we didn't have too many games. So yeah, I thought it was good, but I look forward to watching your review now and see what I should have seen.
Yeah, call it, it's always this thing where it's like, there's sort of, because I wear a game developer hat, there's a lot of things that I'll pick up and some stuff that just ticks me off that, other people will probably not notice, and there was stuff that I didn't notice based on my time with it, that apparently how some systems work, which wasn't talked about in the instructions, and I never picked it up.
Cool. No worries. Thanks, Rob. Adrian.
Hello. How's everyone going?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's been a long few weeks. Been spending a lot of time up working on my museum up in country New South Wales. So I've been spending most weekends up there. The only reason I'm actually not up there this weekend is I felt a bit off today, so I thought I'd better just stay in Sydney. Not COVID, so that's good at least. Yeah, been building a library, which is now spanning about 40 square meters of a wall in the building.
Wow.
And finished off moving some boxes around. I won't share any photos just yet because it's one of those works in progress. Ordered a couple of interesting CD, DVD carousel drives from the US. Both got smashed in transit. I bought the original one, got completely smashed by my US because they just didn't package it appropriately, and the original shipper just they just put it in a box and shipped it, like this 35 kilo 200 DVD stacker. And thankfully I was able to super glue about 1 million pieces back together, and it's actually functioning. And then the next person that I got another one off was, they sent a metal one, and I asked them to ship it specially, but they didn't read what I asked them to do. So they stuck a Apple III on top of it and shipped it in a thin box with paper between it and smashed it as well. Thankfully, it was a metal version, so it is working, although looking very, very poor. But it's quite cool. It holds 200 DVD RAM or DVD discs or CDs in a carousel. It's called a power file. It's got 2 drives in it that can read and write DVDs and write to DVD RAM. And so you load up to 200 DVDs, and it runs on macOS 10.2. And basically in the Finder, you just have access to all 200 discs and their contents. And when you actually try and open a disc to access the contents, the drive automatically mounts the disc into a drive and then provides it over Firewire 400. So it's quite cool. They also used to have a macOS 9 and earlier client back to 7.5.5 where you can mount all 200 discs over a network, and that allowed network users to actually just access anything off a CD or DVD when they wanted it, and it would automatically mount the disc, so you could pull the files and then it demounts the disc if someone else calls another file. So I'm still trying to find the software for the older Mac OS, but I'm pretty happy because I've got 400 disk capacity with 3 drives now. So I can file away a lot of my old CDs and DVDs and put them somewhere safe for the time being. They're a really cool drive, and they come in single and dual model versions. You can get them fairly cheap in the States, but the shipping is just an absolute killer.
Stuart's just shared a link to one on eBay. The PowerFile R200.
That's the one.
Not cheap.
I've been looking at the plastic gray one, which is, so that's the second one I got. I actually got the R200 dual model, the same one as that. It's a secondary one because I thought metal's probably going to last better. And I got it for like 150 or 200 US dollars plus a lot more than that shipping. But insurance has at least kicked in for the shipping now. So at least I wasn't too badly affected, and cosmetically they're both smashed up pretty bad, but they're still serving a purpose. So I'm really glad to have them. Kind of wasn't worth the heartache, but it's worth the end result.
Imagine loading 200 DVDs in that little slot.
It's actually really quite simple. So it's actually got a batch button on the front. So you just say load and you say load batch, and it just lets you throw in a disk every 5 seconds, and you just keep on just shuffling them in. And so it's not as bad as it seems. And once you finish loading the batch, the OS goes through and loads in each disk into the DVD-ROM drive, reads the title of the disk and the contents, and then throws them into like a file on the hard drive so that you can search the disks without having to load the CD-ROM. So it's not bad. It's a pretty well thought out system. It would have been absolutely incredible back in the day because you can literally put a terabyte of optical media in DVDs in each of these units. So, and you can have up to 4 of them, I think, connected to a workstation, daisy chained on FireWire 400, and they've each got 3 ports, so you can really easily daisy chain them onto a computer. So yeah, it's pretty darn cool.
I can remember when I was in year 11, I think we had a Windows for Workgroups network, and they had a server that had one of those 6-stack CD-ROM drives, and you would see the discs, right? And it's just 6 discs, and you'd click on one. It would like take 2 minutes to swap over and use that disc. I don't know if you can remember those horrible pieces of junk.
Yep, there was a few different types of those. There was, I think, Pioneer did a few, and Sanyo or someone also had a different version of it, but this is kind of like that on steroids. The brilliant thing about it is they're full size 5.25 inch drives mounted vertically inside the unit. I'll share some photos soon enough. And so because you can basically have 2 discs mounted at a time on the dual layer model, if you're using a disk and someone else on the network calls another, the software automatically uses the empty drive so that it's not affecting the main user of the system. So from that perspective, it's pretty well thought of. And the load time and unload time, it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. And if you use the cataloging software in tandem with it, users can search for the files they want on all 200 disks and kind of only mount disks once they know that the files that they need are on them. So if you imagine if you were burning, I guess, media and other assets onto these disks back in a video studio or a photography studio, you had the software across the network to be able to say, okay, I need this disk because it's got this photo shoot on it, and you could just grab that disk off the network without having to go through 200 disks to find it. So from that perspective, it's great. And even not connected to a computer, on the front LCD panel, you can scroll through the name of each of the 200 disks and eject the disk if you physically want to grab a disk out. So
cool.
That's also quite cool. Other than that, I've been restoring leases. So me and Mark Jositis in the States have been fixing up a Lisa that we're working on at the moment. So I've been recapping the boards, and I've fixed a whole, like about 25 broken tracks on one.
Wow.
So I'm really happy with that. Got it back and working, and fixed a logic board, and just redid a VDU board for it. And I've just got to do the power supply, and then I'm going to send that back to the States. And then we've been shipping a whole stack of these bad boys, which I'm sure you've seen before, the clear SEs.
Oh, sweet.
I'm still amazed that they're not selling in Australia, but we've run out of stock in North America. So I've been sending out like 5 to 10 a week at the moment of these to the States. And yeah, you're right, Ian. We're on band 3 now. It's quite fantastic. Something I didn't know about with Australia Post. But yeah, these things are cool. And we've got the Apple IIe clear cases, and the clear keyboards for the Apple IIes are inbound at the moment.
Oh, good. Are you going to be shipping mine, or are they all going to you, or are they going to me?
All of the pre-orders are going straight from China to original orders, and then I'm just getting stock.
Cool.
Ongoing sales. I think I'm getting a couple of the black editions, which are the black cases and the black keyboards. There was only 25 made for the global supply. So I think I'll probably have one for sale, but it's probably going to fetch a bit of attention because they look sick. If anyone's seen it on any of the Apple II forums, the fully black Apple IIe with black badging, it just looks amazing. So it's like a full black case.
What's the black one they did make originally?
The Bell and Howell.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
So here's a logo from a Bell and Howell. You can see that.
Of course, you've just got it right there in hand.
Yeah.
Of course. Casual flex.
Adrian,
I've got a pretty good cross section behind me here. But yeah, I've got a Bell and Howell. They're a beautiful little machine, but these are like a kind of a refought out jet black glossy machine. And the keyboards, Mark, he spent like over a year trying to perfect them, and I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars he lumped into the project, but I think the outcome, the keys work perfectly, and he just went to the nth degree to have them all recreated perfectly to kind of really give people a good experience, because Apple II keyboards aren't exactly easy to come by. So yeah, look, he's a great guy to work with, and we have a lot of fun, and we're working on a couple of projects at the moment that we'll be announcing shortly. A project that I've been working on as a bit of a passion project with him, and yeah, we're really keen that I'm sure that'll become apparent in the next few months on the Classic forums, and I'm sure I'll share with you guys at some point what's happening.
Sweet. Looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Adrian, are you able to share a link to where we can see these or possibly even buy these cases?
Yeah, so they're on a sub-brand of my company, which is iFixit Australia, which has been an absolute pain. So I registered the iFixit name back in 2006, and like legally, and we had it all registered. And then the US company basically started sending us legal demands, and all that happens now is we just get a ton of angry emails and angry Facebook requests about people having bought from iFixit in America, who now trademarked in the US iFixit Australia as a trademark and trade as our company name, and basically it's just destroyed the entire business. So
at the australia.ifixit.com site.
Yeah, so we're actually ifixit.com.au, and we've got the clear cases up there. And if anyone wants to buy any, you can either, we've got like Afterpay and stuff available through the website. But yeah, if anyone in the group wants to buy one, I can give you a discount code. So just let us know. But yeah, the Apple IIe and the SE30 cases, the SE30 case goes for the SE as well, and they're rock solid. I love them. They've been done really well, and they're very clear. This is one of the earlier revisions that's not as clear as the later model, but it's still exceptionally clear, and they're they're basically perfect, less the
Pretty stick on your website, mate. It does.
Yeah, they look great on the website.
Looks great. Yeah.
Yeah,
The only challenge with that Apple IIe one is you have to make sure your cabling's pretty nice. Because the cabling the 2E that I use is a piece of shit. So
But, you know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's all the kind of weird and wonderful boards and cables and stuff. I think people go to the nth degree to make everything look too perfect. And I think the best thing about retro computing in a lot of ways is that it was very imperfect. Like just look at that leather finish on that S100 Sorcerer, right? That's the weirdest thing. We've got a couple at the ACMS and it's the weirdest finish on them. It's like this fake leather and they've all kind of turned into these horrible yellow colors, but it's got this, fake leather pattern stamped into this kind of weird bubble-esque plastic.
It almost feels like fiberglass, but it's not.
They're a really interesting old system. And I was going to ask, I think it was Craig, which anniversary is the Exidy Sorcerer anniversary? Because I think silver's 25, so is Exidy Sorcerer like 30th anniversary? My wife can buy you one of those. And the Commodore 65 auction, one thing that I noticed when you brought that up is something I've seen with a very well-known American auction person that sells Apple stuff. As soon as I see that the sellers are private, like as in it's a private auction and there's only 2 bidders or 3 bidders, I would say that it might have legitimately sold, but it's guaranteed that the price was artificially inflated by the seller. It's a horrible thing, but it happens all the time. Especially, I don't think I've ever seen a private auction for about 15, 20 years where the price hasn't gone up considerably more than what would be expected. And that's because it's been inflated by hiding the bidders. And I've caught a few people out on shell bidding on eBay before, hiding the auctions, because it's so rare to see a hidden auction these days. I probably see one a year and it's always something really unique. And it's always from one of these people that I've seen in the past known for shell bidding stuff. So you've got to be careful, but there is no doubt that the Commodore 65, even the $1,000 you spent 20 years ago was well worth the investment.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it would sell very well now.
Yeah. The question is, what do I do? So I'm going to put that off. I'm going to continue pushing that down the road.
Yeah. And as for the Amiga 32, the CD 32 new in box, that's a hard one. I think Stephen had that. Look, I know in the Apple world, anything sealed, new in box, that's never been opened, they get way higher prices, not just from collectors, but people that have YouTube channels with like a lot of viewers, and they want to have a new one in the box, never opened, and it drives up the prices astronomically.
And then they open it on the video.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think it's one of these things. If you are simply keeping it to sell it, just keep it sealed. It's like having a bottle of Grange in the thing. Do you open it and find out that it's destroyed, or do you just sell it sight unseen and take the money and run? So if you're planning on ever using it, open it, fix it. If you're planning on simply selling it, either just sell it or hold on to it, and I wouldn't touch it. Just keep it stored well and try and keep it stored in an orientation that you think is going to cause the least damage.
That's good advice.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
And if you do open it, make sure your video be opening so we can see your expression with the destroyed circuit board or something.
Monetize that YouTube content.
Yeah.
Interesting point about the Commodore 65 auction. David has found, and Pat alerted me the other day, that the auction keeps resurfacing with the same photos. And if you look for Google search now for Commodore 65, you'll find this one again.
How many times has it sold?
But read the description. They will accept offers of $10,020.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it sounds like it's being scammed.
And the unfortunate part about that is that even if it is bullshit prices, it's going to drive up the price of a normal one anyway, to some degree.
That's the problem with a lot of these things. And then I think the last thing to report is we've got the IBM day at the ACMS this weekend coming. So Peter Irwin has put together, along with a bunch of IBM mainframes that we have, a really good cross-section of IBM terminals and computers of the last, say, 30 years. So we've got everything from our 1401, which weighs, what was it?
800 kilos.
800 kilos. Which
it was fun getting it on and off the truck.
Yeah.
My goodness.
We've got an IBM punch card, a 26 and a 28. The 26s date back to, I think, 52 or 48. And yeah, we've got a whole bunch of like ThinkPads and other terminals, including a couple of the metal terminals for use in the military, I think, as well.
And the nice little hand-operated card puncher, one card at a time, manually.
So we've got a few things to show, and yeah, look, it's going to be the first time we've opened in nearly a year because of COVID, and it's daunting to say the least. But we're starting to kind of get a monthly thing going, and it was very late notice this time again because we're just trying to put things together, and it was meant to be in January, and then COVID actually stopped it from happening, which was lucky because one of the people that did end up coming was a close contact, so good that didn't spread around. But yeah, we've got some Micro B stuff coming up in March and Apple stuff in April. I don't know what we had planned for May, but there's a kind of nice ongoing thing happening that we're trying to piece together at the moment.
Good. That's great. That's really great. And if you could take some photos of the day and put it on your website, that would be amazing.
Well, actual punch cards.
Well, we've got
of the day, please.
Before I forget, guys, I was out at a junk shop the other day. Well, actually, for those that are in Melbourne, the Caribbean Gardens has shut down. However, they've opened, and they're called 2-0.com.au, and they've actually got a vintage market in there, and I think it's possibly what used to be 100 Antiques. I saw for sale there. I'm not into the newish sort of stuff, but it was a red and white iMac for $145. Now I don't know if that's good or bad.
Was it a ruby or was it a strawberry?
Well, I'll show you what it looks like. But
if it's red, as in red, not strawberry, like pink.
There it is there.
Yeah, they
that's a raspberry, really.
Yeah, they're known as ruby, and look, $145 is a good deal.
There's no keyboard with it, but it was just sitting there. I don't know if it works, but
yeah,
an original mouse.
That is definitely an original mouse. Does that even say connect pink?
I don't think so. Yeah, 145. No, look, I forgot to post it when I was out shopping, and so it's at the so someone's interested.
The rubies came in two different speeds, the 400 and the 450. The 450s are really, really, really rare. The 400s aren't so much, but still, I think that's an IBM Selectric next to it, isn't it?
Yeah, what's the typewriter?
Yeah, the typewriter is interesting.
It wouldn't have been an IBM Selectric because I would have bought it.
Yeah, it's got a dual color ribbon. But
well,
look,
listen,
$145.
If it was, I missed it. I'll have to go back. I don't. It wasn't at that place. It was somewhere else.
$145 is not a bad deal. The bezels on those things, the internal bezels, are actually falling to pieces on all of the iMac G3s. So we've been investigating. Mark and I have been investigating actually making new bezels for the internals, but it was nearly 40,000 Australian to get the molds done. So we've put that on the back burner at the moment. There's just not the market there for that kind of price at the moment.
What about the Emacs? Are they worth much?
Well, I've said
I've got one. It used to be my wife's computer, and it's just
I can say you can pick up an eMac now if you can still find one. You can pick them up for 50, 100, 150. I think they're a great long-term investment because, like all CRTs and all kind of antique computers, they're so big and cumbersome. People have tons of them sold.
Yeah,
I was in sales the entire time that the eMac was sold. We sold like thousands of them, and there is just none out there anymore. So many of them got e-wasted that they're still cheap now. And I reckon in 5 years' time, you won't be able to find one for love or money. And I think they'll skyrocket in value.
Do you hear that, Mav?
Pretty good quality screen.
They're a great screen. They're using the LG platform. Yeah, see, exactly. And that's the problem, that people just go, oh, they're too heavy, they're too cumbersome, but they're really robust. The screens are fantastic. And yeah, if you want to buy an Apple that's going to appreciate in value, something like a Ruby iMac and definitely an eMac. I reckon the eMacs are at rock bottom prices at the moment, and definitely a worthwhile purchase if you can find one.
Cool. I'll leave it where it is, and I'll sell it. I don't know, one day. It's my wife. She probably like, you can't sell it. It's got all my stuff on it. Probably still boots up. I better check.
Yeah.
Cool. Justin, what have you been doing?
All right, probably a lot of stuff. Probably the biggest thing I did was actually get my new MSX working. It's got a nice special connector in there. That was fun. So I basically had to pull apart the internal power supply because it took 18 and 9 volts in, 18 AC and 9 volts DC. And if I had the spec sheet, you would see that they actually all get converted down to 12, 5, and negative 12. So thanks to a guy in Japan who's like, yep, you can just stick in these things to get it going. He basically said, remove X, Y, and Z from the board. So I just actually removed basically the whole power supply portion of it. And then just tapped in an ATX type power feed into the correct spots, because it's like an output for 12, output for negative 12, and output for 5. Fires up, no problem. The only issue it has now is, for some weird reason, you have to have the video and audio connected for it to fire up the video. So there's some odd, like needs more power drain or something to work. When that came, I bought it with a bunch of other things. Probably a couple of games like Pac-Man.
Cool.
Oh, nice. That was actually not cheap in the end. There's one up there, Super Golf. I think it ended up costing about $70 each game cartridge with shipping.
Wow.
The same pack, well, they all came in a package together, so that was handy. Shipping was
Do they have like SD card cartridges for MSX? Yeah, I do.
Got one.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah, those are horrendously expensive. That is $300 by itself, or $350.
Yeah. It's a pretty powerful cart, though.
But they're worth it.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff. It's like those universal carts. They're just priceless.
Takes micro SD.
Well, when I say priceless, I mean $300.
When you spend $350 on this, and then the unit itself only costs you $250, it gets a bit stupid.
Everything else is MasterCard.
Everything else is MasterCard. Yes. What's that? Also with that package, I got another mouse. That's the Panasonic one. This was actually working when I got it, and I think it costs like $100 by itself. And in addition, heaps.
What is that?
This is fun.
It's external iAmiga disk drive.
It's actually just a Sony Hitbit external floppy drive.
That's a floppy drive. Oh, right.
Yeah, there in that bit. So you have to stick the cartridge in to get the floppy drive to work. There's a huge fat cable on it. Like that's like,
my goodness.
I use my finger. The interesting thing they said was it was modded, and it's kind of a bit of damage. Not because it's modded, but they've done a lot to it. So they put a switch on the front. There's now 4 holes on the top here, like that. 4 of them. Actually, put it that way, maybe I'll see them all. Yep. And this is hanging out of the back.
Oh, some kind of extra drive or something.
So there's also this cable hanging out of the back here. So take a guess what the switch on the front does.
Power switch from one drive to the other.
No, the power switch is actually this one here. Yeah, flicks from one drive to another. Obviously, I don't have an extra drive, so they must have had like a what's his name?
Mount on the top.
The
Bracket.
HXD one. I'm
Oh,
thinking
yeah,
of-
GoTech.
GoTech. Yep, sitting on top. I reckon that's what they had.
Okay.
Hook it in, and then you can use the switch to flick drives. I'm not 100% sure if the drive's actually working on this.
You
Yeah,
haven't
it
fired
does.
it up.
It does plug in. The cartridge does work, so it tells it there's a floppy drive. I put a disk. Oh, there actually is a disk in it, and I don't think it actually worked. But I have to actually get. Someone will have to send me 2 double D discs to try it. So
I'm assuming it's a standard 3.5-inch floppy drive, just in boxing it.
yeah, that was in there. I don't know if actually the drive reads right, but either way, you could just stick a. It's got a full, so you can just stick a GoTech in there if you really wanted to.
Cool.
I mean, I got USB hard disk, so I just. But yeah, that and here it is here. So it was the Msx2.
What brand is that one?
Panasonic.
Panasonic.
Which is like the dime a dozen brand over in Japan. So it had power switch. So I actually had used the power switch that actually works with my power supply. Actually, I think we can open this. Actually, I think it's screwed in still.
What model is that?
It is the FSA1.
FSA1 WX or
No, the first one, because the Mark II is the one with the numpad on this side.
okay.
Actually, you can just see it. There it is. There, the mod.
Cool. So you've obviously played the games already.
Yep.
Is
Pac-Man
Pac-Man
works.
any better than any other consoles?
As it's an MSX1 game,
so no.
Feels exactly like. I think it's best closest to.
Atari
it is
800?
Probably close. Nah, better than 2600.
No, 800.
800. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Kind of like the NES version, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Very good.
That worked well. Yeah, I go to so I'm actually waiting for a Pico ATX to come in. I was going to stick that in here instead of my dodgy.
Are micro ATX power supplies that small?
Yeah, it's roughly that's like a proto board, but it's that size.
Wow, I thought micro ATX was like the half size we used to get.
Pico, it's even small. It's like
Pico.
It's
Pico
tiny.
ATX. Okay, no, never heard of it.
Yeah, that'll. There's actually a lot of surprisingly there's a lot of space under this part of the keyboard, but
wow,
it should fit. Should fit in there somewhere. Hopefully on that side with the more the power supply was because
wow, 25 bucks.
Those cables there. It's $25. Yeah, that's right. There's like loop cables. They actually go straight to the power outputs for the 5-volt rail and all that. I also changed over the battery. It's got a real-time clock. It takes 2 AA's in mount there, and I've changed it to headers.
Oh yeah, cool.
That was sold in originally, so if you wanted to get the board out, you basically had to do something there. And I took the board out once, and I'm like, I don't want to solder them back in. So I'm like, how can I avoid doing that? And turns out I had those quick dew point from the.
So it had in it 2 alkaline AA soldered in, did that? Or they NiCads, or what were they?
No, just 2 regular. Yeah, just 2 regular.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant
all right. I thought, yeah, okay. They're in.
They soldered in the cables to the board.
Oh yeah.
And if you get once you unscrew the board and try to get it out, they're soldered into the board.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
so I've changed them to header pins that fit fine. So now if you get the board out, you just pull those headers off and away you go. So it's an improvement. And that was in pretty good condition. There was only really this like one one scratch here on the front across there. That's probably gonna be really hard to see.
Looks perfect to me.
There it is, just there. Oh, no, that was it. It was in pretty good condition. Nothing wrong with the board. Nothing wrong with ports. The batteries had leaked in there, but that wasn't a big deal.
Oh, very good.
They were pretty far away from the board, so yeah, they weren't going to get in.
No worries.
Too far. Other than that, I haven't really done much else.
Cool.
Someone who did mention that PABX thing, so I'm going to probably work on that at some stage. See if there's something I can do there. But yeah, other than that, MSX stuff is all the rage.
Cool. Anthony, what are you doing?
This is going to be very short. I've done absolutely nothing.
Did you buy that analog joystick from eBay?
Yes, I did actually. So
did you get the analog joystick from eBay?
I did get it. Yeah.
And did it work?
It's sitting in the garage. I haven't even put it on and tested it out.
I'm glad you bought it.
Slack. No, but thank you very much. A bit of backstory. I was after a joystick, and Anthony just sent me this link. Here, buy this one, quote unquote, and I went, okay, why? So it wasn't too bad. It was an Apple II joystick. So yeah, I've got to even just plug it in and test it out. But yeah, so thank you. But yeah, look, seriously, I have absolutely done nothing in the retro computing field for the last 2 months. It's just been work and sleep and eat. That's it.
That's depressing.
It is very depressing.
We all have we all have months like that. So
yeah. But the work, sleep, and eat. Surely he's done more than that.
While you're eating, you can look on eBay.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay, yes. I drool a lot about all the shit that I see on eBay that like, oh yeah, I'll put that in the watch list.
Until your watch list says, sorry, you can't add any more to your watch list.
Well, actually, I don't even have an eBay account. It's my wife's, so she sees all this shit turn up.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Get your own.
You need to get your own eBay account for sure.
Don't tell her you got your own. Then she'll think you're not buying anything. Yeah.
It's very hard. We're both working from home, so every time that bloody door rings, it's a delivery. At the moment, it's pretty good that it's all her deliveries, not mine. So, like I've got a bit of, how can I say, some stuff stored up. So when my shit does start turning up, hey.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
You need that credit.
The only advantage from working from work instead of at home is you can get your stuff delivered at work instead of sneak it in the house later.
Yeah.
Oh,
use a friend's address.
No, I had those 3 Apple IIIs forever, honey.
Can't do that. I work for the federal government, and you send anything to a federal government, it goes through all the bullshit security first. So it's like, forget it. And they get the shits with you too if you get your personal stuff sent to them. So
yeah, and you got to answer the questions. Why are you buying this? What kind of state secrets are you trying to steal from us with this thing? Very good.
All good.
All right, Horst, what have you been doing?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You're up. What have you been doing?
I recapped a 2GS. I tried to recap one of my 2 CI boards. I lifted enough pads that I decided to just put it down until I was in a calm mood. That's basically where he is. I know Adderley Linux has been getting some coverage in the internet press recently, which is something I've been working on for a while. I've got new kernel stuff that's being pushed to that. We're hoping to release a new version of that soon, though when soon is, I have no idea. It's Americans and they have no idea what time is.
Yesterday. It's always yesterday there.
Yeah. I remember the joke at the end of 2020, I think it was, saying greetings from the future, but for some reason my clock says it's 1301 2020. That's where we're at. I was going to say regarding Adrian's little Apple hideaway in country New South Wales, I've had to do a few drives out that way recently, quite a few in fact, including rescuing a bunch of XDET ThinkPads from Bathurst. So I know for a fact I'm about an hour and a half's drive from there.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very eager to visit when it gets in a state where it's open to the viewing public.
Yeah, look, now that the termites have left the building, I've got to do a little bit of repair in the front room, and then I'll start building out the actual museum where people can come and look at. At the moment, it's just all the storage and all of the library and the workshop and everything that I've kind of been working on. But yeah, look, you're always welcome to come up and organise with me before it's done to come and have a look. So just drop me a line.
I'd absolutely love to. I'm assuming you're basically behind Mount Piper.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Portland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep the Easter weekend free, possibly.
And if you want behind the scenes photos, I'll bring a camera.
Oh yeah, no. So the only people that have seen it so far is like Murray, maybe I think one of my team and my mum, and like Mark in the States, because he hasn't been able to travel out here. I've been showing him what I've been up to. But yeah, it's I'm really keeping it under wraps at the moment because it's going to be a pretty big shindig when people see exactly what I've got set up, and I think people will be surprised just how much stuff that I've shipped to Australia and just how big an Apple collection I have. Look, literally since 2017, I've probably spent 50 grand on shipping, and it pains me. The only offset is the fact that some of the stuff that I was buying in 2017 has shot up in value, but I've also got that disease where I don't want to get rid of anything. So we'll see what happens.
Isn't that called the Rona?
Sorry?
Isn't that called the Rona, the disease where you don't want to get rid of anything?
Well, we can say that that's it, and yeah, let's just go with that.
But your funding lab just down the road has been closed down recently.
Across the road, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the neighbours' houses were bust as a grow lab a couple of weeks in the last couple of days. So yeah, it's an interesting little town, but yeah, I really love it, and it's a great building, and it's going to really be one to see.
Cool, great.
I'll get in touch.
Please do.
So nothing else, Horst?
Found the IDE card. Finally found my jumpers. Finally found the manual. So I'm just at the point where I'm just looking forward to having a 2GS up and running, and I think that's basically. That'll happen in like 3 or 4 months, I'm sure. It'll be fine. But yeah, that's all I've been doing.
Cool. No worries. Pat.
Well,
I see you've got a new office, which is great. It's got a lot of sophisticated gear there.
Yeah, very retro.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a quick question? Pat, you're not the same Pat Breen as this book, are you?
Yeah, that's your book, remember?
That's Peter.
Oh, it's Peter Breen. There we go.
Yeah, but it is the same Pat.
Loose association.
I was like, I just had that on the thing, and I was like, what is going on? It's like, okay, never mind. Keep on going.
I'll start off with a bit of deflection. I could notice that Stu's face dropped immediately when Craig started talking about 5 1/4 drives rather than 8-inch drives for the S100 gear. Murray, I want to know what your computer of the future is. You seem to be doing that pretty steadily.
You haven't done it yet.
All right, all right. Get ready.
I read the article. It doesn't mention.
Come on.
Come on.
Sorry, you have to subscribe.
I've just
as a
destroyed
member
the
of the
magazine.
ACMS
I'm
get
going to
the
scan the
answer.
whole thing.
So the computer of the future is just not known. No one knows what it is.
That's probably
the worst magazine
accurate.
ever.
The computer of the future is the beige white box of the 90s.
With a sheet over it, with a sheet on it. Apparently.
That
Paragraph will get to you. The dreaded Mac. As far as the Apple Macintosh goes, it is becoming hard to avoid the little bugger.
That wasn't me.
That's some great praise.
They're talking about software. They're talking about trends, graphics, text.
No, there's
really
a 3.5-inch drive mounted on the side in a baby AT case with a 5 1/4. It's not a bloody Mac.
Oh no, it's definitely not a Mac. No, that's
You know what that looks like? That looks like one of those Epson PCs.
Yeah.
And
Look at
they've
the floppy
hidden
drive
the
on it.
brand.
That is 100% an Epson PC from the late 80s.
Or it's an NEC PowerMate.
Oh, it could be.
Murray, you
Yep.
must investigate and come
I
back.
will
to us.
scan the whole magazine and put it up on
I-
archive.org,
As opposed,
and you can all
as
read
opposed,
it.
as
I'm
opposed to
very
reading.
disappointed by this reveal. It's
Yeah.
practically the worst reveal ever seen on the internet. Anyway, thank you, Murray.
If you've
Now,
ever
Pat, thank you for the deflection. Back to you.
So,
If you've ever seen Wheels Car of the Year, some of the turkeys they've put over the years, like the Leyland P76 and Renault 06.
There was one article on classic cars with pop-up headlights and why the pop-up headlights aren't around anymore. And they listed something like 10 or 15 cars, and the X19 wasn't on the list. I thought, what? Who wrote this crap?
And so maybe the computer journal decided maybe we're better just not say anything, then we can't be accused in the future of predicting the wrong computer.
So Murray, for your benefit, I bought a 6892 with a couple of, so not a peach, because it's a couple of revs later than a peach, but it's got, there's a few games that they had on tape that I'll eventually get over here. So I don't know whether they'll run on a peach or not. We'll find out. Justin, I have quite a few Panasonic Msxs actually. They're my favorite MSX brand. I'm not as knowledgeable about some people on this talk as on MSXs, but I'm fortunate enough to have a WX, which is an MSX2 Plus, and I also have a GT, which is an MSX Turbo R. So, which is a pretty rare one. It's got inbuilt MIDI ports and crazy stuff like that, but there weren't too many MSX Turbo R makers. There's only two, I think, in total, outside of Panasonic, or including Panasonic, actually.
There's actually like 4 or 5.
Oh, really?
I think it was the main. I think it was Sony, Panasonic, and Sanyo actually.
I don't think. I don't. Okay, I wasn't actually. I wasn't aware of Sony or Sanyo actually making Turbo Rs, but anyway, I know there was a very small number of makers of the Turbo R because the MSX standard was well and truly going out by then. Rob, I enjoyed your Gateway of Apshai review. I thought about buying it actually. I've actually never played the Temple of Apshai, any of those games, and it's kind of been one of those ones that have been one of those things that I thought maybe I should play at some point, but I haven't got there. So
yeah, it's probably, if you're going to play the Temples, probably go for the trilogy release, which was basically
I've looked at that.
Yeah. So the trilogy from like '85, which was Temple of Apshai, Upper Reaches of Apshai, and Curse of Ra, and they've been enhanced and remade, so they're nicer visually and a little easier to play. I'd go for those over the original, because like I spent 30 minutes playing the original Temple of Apshai on the 64 when I was grabbing footage, and that was a clunky sucker.
I quite enjoy watching your reviews as well, because quite obviously you're a gamer. So when you actually review games, you can actually see someone who's playing quite skillfully.
Oh, I've had plenty of comments that I'm terrible at them.
Oh, no, mate. Listen, so if you want to, and he's not on here right now, so I feel bad for saying this, but if you want to see someone who doesn't know how to play games, Jason Weber, when he does his reviews, every time I want to leave comments and I'm like, I can't do that. I'm going to kill him. But yeah, look, I think, and Jason, if you're watching, love you, brother. But yeah, you can't keep hiding behind that Sega Mega Drive thing forever. Anyway, moving on.
Just to add, sorry, it was just Panasonic was the only maker.
Okay, yeah. No, I feel like there might have been one more MSX Turbo R maker. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah, I happen to have the Panasonic one. So Stephen, you were talking before about your odd drive and buying weird stuff. I did just pick up a Amiga 1020, which is like a 1571, but for an Amiga. So so I'm gonna do a bit of work on that. I don't know what state it's in, but it's probably not good based on the price that I got it for.
Just a quick note. I just quickly checked. Apparently, the other manufacturer of the MSX Turbo R standard computer was Takaoka, who made a specific version basically for enterprise, for car dealerships.
Wow.
But Panasonic is the only MSX Turbo R that most people are going to have come across.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for one for ages, actually, like for years, and I finally got one about a year ago, and I mean, it's an interesting computer, but I kind of thought there would be more there'd be more makers of it, but yeah, it was pretty much dying out at that point. I have been doing a little bit of work on so a computer I owned when I was a bit younger, which would be of no interest to anybody, was a Wise 286 that had a wonderful LCD display on the actual computer in terms of what clock speed it was running and all sorts of things like that. I've been doing a bit of restoration. So one thing I've been doing, which I don't think it's if you haven't got to this point, don't do it. Anthony, you've probably been there, don't worry about it. But I've collected pretty much CRTs for every computer that I own, right? And this is not good for storage. Like it's actually very bad for storage. And so I finally got like a Wise CRT that matches. Now it's not the one that I had when I was younger. It was actually a really high-end CAD. It was a non-standard. It wasn't. It was actually monochrome, but like crazy resolutions. I can't remember exactly, but I'll come back to that at some point. But I ended up getting like a nice VGA matching Wise monitor for this Wise 286. Yeah, but just been doing a bit of work on that. Anthony, I managed to get myself a matching Japanese JX keyboard for my Japanese JX computer. So
how much did that set you back?
Let's move on. And I also got a matching monitor for my Sharp Super MZ, so like a MZ 2500. So getting a matching monitor for those is number one, tricky, and number two, also not cheap. I got a mocking board for my Apple IIc, which I'm going to install at some point.
Cool.
Bought myself I saw a Sun. So they're getting a bit rare these days, but the old Motorola Suns pre-Spark are getting a bit old. So I saw a Sun 360 pop up at one point, and it was up for about 10 cents, a bit like that conversation before about the XD expansion. I saw this Sun 360 thing pop up, and I was like, bang, done, you know, had that shipped. That commentary before about the Commodore calculators, I never mock people. Actually, I've done it once. I did it once on IBM. Peter Irwin was saying some stuff about IBM, and I shot him some stick about IBM, and then I was like, I can't do that anymore. But I try not to mock people for their interest in anything, actually. But one of the things that I picked up a little while ago, it wasn't a Commodore calculator, but I managed to pick up some Coleco Amiga branded controllers. So back when pre-Amiga making computers, they actually were trying to throw people off by making joysticks, so that people wouldn't come sniffing when they were actually doing the next version of the 8-bit Ataris. So I've got a couple of those sitting around somewhere. One's working, one's broken, but it's a nice little set of a couple of controllers there for my ColecoVision. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, I'd like a mouse ball update.
Oh, well, mouse ball update. So you know that I acquired one from the 1351 box that I got. And so the latest update is I had Dave Merton arrive maybe in the last month, and he purchased a Mac 512 from me. And I said, there's one catch. You don't get a mouse ball.
Mouse.
Right? You don't get a mouse ball. And he goes, but Anthony, you have all these stainless steel balls. I said, yes, I do. And he says, can I have one? I want to coat it with a rubber material. And I said, go right ahead. And I was actually hoping he disappeared, but I saw Justin mucking about with a mouse before. And I thought, I won't interrupt Justin. But I need to ask Dave about how he's gone with his plastic coating of the stainless steel balls. That being said, I still have plenty more stainless steel balls that are completely unsuitable for a Mac mouse, but they're the right size. So Adrian, you might have the answer. So those 1-inch mouse balls in the original Mac and Apple IIe series, they're a steel ball with a rubberized coating.
Yeah.
So I got this lot of Mac mice and Macs from a school, and the kids obviously thought the balls were the most entertaining part of the mice, and then just threw them around and they're long gone. So I bought a 1-inch ball, and it's been an epic drama. I cannot find any suitable mice, but I did get a Commodore mouse, and fortunately they use 1-inch mouse balls, which are more than suitable. Anyway, other than robbing tank mice, does Mac Effects have a solution to this time eternal crisis?
Well, funny enough, you can buy them quite easily in the US, because I remember when I was at school, we actually used to have to buy balls from Apple all the time because people would steal it. And we would get to the point where my old computing teacher would get me and my mates to glue all of the actual
the tourney doodads,
and then you'd have to, if you wanted to clean them, we'd have to unscrew them. But I'll ask Mark if there's a solution. I'm sure, look, there's a solution to everything, but I reckon that if you've got the right size ball, I reckon you probably don't even have to spray it with rubber. I reckon you could spray it with, like you could buy, I think these like adhesive, like rubberized coatings that are just sprayed.
That's what Dave's going to do. That's what Dave was going to do. And I just haven't got the update because I'm like, I'm done with this.
There's just literally two metal. The reason it doesn't work with, well, actually, here's the alternative solution, right? The reason they have to be rubber balls is because the two guide wheels in the mouse are metal. So metal on metal won't work. If you put rubber on the actual guide wheels in the mouse and flipped it on its head, I bet you it would work.
I bet you're right.
You probably need a bit more friction though to get it to rub on the mouse on the mat.
I got to go, but I think I found the fastest computer there for you, Murray, on a 1986 copy of the same magazine.
What a piece of crap!
Well, look at that. It's got trails running out the back of it. It's going so fast. Hang on. Let me just get this going properly. Fastest HP of 1986.
I was going through a whole stack of software at the Acms the other day, boxing it up, packing it away, and there was a huge box that donated from Erina Heights Primary School, and I found a scrotum inside with one ball. The teacher had a little cloth bag and put one of the mouse balls in that and left it in there.
I was thinking, what the heck are you talking about?
And on that note, I'll see everyone later.
See you, Adrian.
Okay, bye guys.
They must have had so many problems with the kids pinching them. They took the balls out of the mice, put them in the bag and put them away every night.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So Pat, nice diversion. Nothing else other than you acquiring an amazing keyboard, which I have never seen other than in photographs.
Apart from that, I just think it's very sus that Dave would actually not for once be on this call when he's not very good about being here till the end, but I remember him giving the rubber spraying mouse ball update last month.
Yeah, well, he took the actually we talked about the Mac so he had the Mac last month. So so we need to know what's going on with the ball, but we'll carry that on.
Even coding would be very difficult.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't want to do it. Can you imagine, like, as the ball rolls, the different surface tension, and you're like, mouse moves, not move, mouse move, not move. I was just thought, nah.
There's this stuff that they put on car rims and bits and pieces I think it's called Plasti Dip. They have it in a liquid, and you just lower the stuff in and it coats it.
All right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out how they actually made them originally, because that's
But if you leave the ball metal and you get the other parts and put some rubber on it, is that easier? What contacts it? Is that easier? Can you put well, that's the thing. If you build up too much on it, it's going to stick, isn't it? It's going to be too big.
Yeah.
So you either get a smaller ball and get the metal shafts and put some heat shrink on it or something, so it's got sort of.
The only other option, and you remember we discussed this about a year ago, is to order 10,000 of them. Yeah, because they do sell them in lots of 10,000.
Oh, they make new ones.
Yeah, they sell them in China. Because I was like, can I have 10? They're like, go away. I'm like, can I have 100?
Well, Anthony,
yeah, they'll be $50 each. I'm like,
Anthony, how many 64s you got, man?
Yeah, I know. I think we're going to go rob some tank mice from Amiga users.
What was the size? Is it exactly an inch?
1 inch, 25.4 millimeters.
Yeah. But and what are the balls you've got?
25.0 millimeters.
Oh, well then, I just measured my ball just before.
Yeah, we saw that.
So this one here, this is a Russian mouse. And that's got
it's a steel ball.
Yeah, and that's actually, I mean, you're ruining like a retro. I mean, it's retro, but it's 1990, but it's a tank. That's got a 1 inch ball in it.
I mean, at this rate, it might be better to mess.
But how much are these mice worth?
Yeah, that's right. We need to contact the Russians. I think they've got the answer. That might be why they're invading Ukraine.
The annoying thing though is the later ADB mouse uses a smaller one. The balls don't fit.
Yeah, well, you can put. That is one thing that I have not tried. Grab a really tiny ball and just stick it in there and.
No, they don't work.
What actually touches against the ball itself? It's some type of axle. Can you make that?
Yeah, it's an axle with a little roller on
it. It's got a steel roller in there.
Yeah, can you like put a bit of heat shrink on it or something to make it like slightly bigger?
Could, but I could just buy ball. That's what I'm trying to do.
Problem with doing that
for the last 2 years.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually the solution, I reckon, Stuart. I reckon you're absolutely spot on. That would be the solution. Just get some kind of shrink wrap and increase the diameter of that roller. Just pull the roller out. You're absolutely spot on.
Just enough, yeah.
It won't
Either that or just sell them as female mice.
You'll have issues with the uniformity of the thickness of the increase unless you add shrink wrap and then somehow machine it down.
Yeah, because
I think the solution is you get new steel bar, right? You get new steel stock and machine it down so you have slightly fatter rollers. And if you do that on a lathe and you have all your concentricity and your tolerances sorted out properly.
Too much effort.
So it's
just like, do it once, do it right.
Anthony's going a big fat no from me.
It's just no deal.
No.
Just order the PCBs to replace the innards of the Amiga tank mice and get everyone to send in their balls and get a bonus, a discount, you know. And then you'll have
I wonder if they have an adapter for the original Macs to make them the laser type. Because I mean, if
the optical mouse.
Yeah, because I mean, if the Amiga tank mouse does it, I mean, it's just encoders. I wonder if the power supply is there. But that's actually an interesting idea. Just eliminate.
They have them for the EST for all sorts of other computers too, so it's not just an Amiga thing. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's a thought.
I find those optical ones are a pain because if you've got any sort of pattern on your mouse mat, it just jerks and goes from one side of the screen to the other.
Do you use a ball mouse to this day, Murray? I do not.
He cleans his balls every month.
Wow, you are really old school. How many people
using this one? It's a Logitech optical thing, but I find the cursor would be at one point and then it would just go to the other side of the screen. It kept jerking around and I couldn't fix it. So I swapped it to this old Dell thing and it works fine. And when you're trying to clean up a lot of graphic pictures, it's a right pain when the cursor just keeps moving and jerking around.
Can I have your ball?
It won't work without that. I was just going to open it up and have a look and see what.
No, it's the small. It'll be the smaller one.
Yeah,
none of the new ones. Yeah, none of the new ones, and they don't have the mass. Like the Mac one is very.
Oh, they're still heavy.
They're very heavy.
It's a steel one. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing up that old chestnut, Pat. Is there anything else we need to talk about, Pat?
10 minutes of mouse balls. I think my work is done.
All right, Nigel. Let's get to you. What's going on?
Not a lot really. I haven't been buying much this year. I'm sort of on a mission to sell a fair bit of stuff actually. Repairs and getting out Amigas out the door.
Cool.
Yeah. We've still got 3 Amiga 500 motherboards on the bench at the moment. One's in a plus. They've all got RAM issues, usual story. So one of them I've already taken out all the RAM and all the logic for it. So I'm not too sure what's going on with that one. Nothing too exciting.
So it's all about thinning now.
At the moment, yeah. I've decided that I don't really need 50 odd Amigas, so.
Where do you sell your stuff, Nigel?
No, probably not.
Yeah. So
40, yes, but 50, no.
Oh well, I'm just trying to. Well, I basically had one of every model at one point.
Well, you got to have that.
Revision. Yeah, and I don't need 3 Amiga 2000s either, and 2 boxed Amiga 1000s, and it just getting a bit out of hand. So,
Where do you sell, Nigel? Where do you sell your stuff?
Most of it's just on Facebook at the moment, yeah. Then through people that I know already, putting out the feelers. But I've got still got another 4 or 5 Amiga 1200s to go. The 3 CD32s, just mountains of machines. Yeah, I think it's still 5 or 6 500s as well. 2 of them being pluses.
Cool. And the difference between a 500 and a 500 plus is the RAM?
Yeah, it's chip RAM that you can have on the machine. Yeah, it has a different Agnes. It's has the ECS chipset, which is like the Amiga 3000.
Oh wow!
Fat Agnes, is it?
Sorry,
it's massively obese Agnes instead of just fat Agnes.
Yeah, they call it obese Agnes. Yeah.
But the key thing about the 500 pluses is that they've got the onboard battery for the clock, which is what was ultimately the demise of those things, which destroyed most of them.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to pick up a Rev 8A from Chucky, if people in the Amiga community know who that is. I bought it off from eBay before I even knew who he was, and that's my main Amiga. That's 2 megabyte chip modded with the TF536 installed, and that's got a high-tech keyboard in it as well, and DF0 switcher, all the bits and pieces. I'm still waiting to get a RGB to HDMI into that because I need a Denise relocator, and still waiting on the 3.5 volt regulator like everyone else. Yeah, so
hey Nigel,
yeah. So
is there any mods for an Amiga 1000 to get it past 512K?
Funny you mentioned that. Yeah, if you've got one of the ones with the daughter board, there's the Rejuvenator project.
Yeah,
if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, they just the Germans managed to crack those gal chips or whatever.
Funny story was they weren't even encrypted.
Okay.
And nobody bothered to see if you could read it. They didn't burn the right protect pin or whatever.
Yeah, it's the project sat there for like 2 years. But they did need a special reader apparently. The normal one from eBay, the other one,
PL, whatever it is.
Yeah, that one wouldn't do it, so they needed a special one that he ordered from Russia that worked first go. But the main thing with them, I was reading the thing into it. At the moment, they use the Amiga 3000 Agnes, so the 8372B chip, and they're as rare as rocking horse poop. I happen to have one, but they're probably one of
only
several
one.
thousand. Yeah, I'm probably one of several thousand in the world that might still be floating outside of a machine, you know. So they're trying to I think there's an adapter board out there that I've been meaning to look into. I've got some of the 8375 chips, and so I can adapt them over and maybe look at making one of them for my Amiga 3000, 1000. Yeah, so bring it up to the 2 meg chip RAM and does some other things as well. I can't remember offhand now. Yeah, so it's on the list at some point.
Cool. I was just looking at a post, Stuart. Have a look at the latest post on AVCC of unpacking a caravan of computers and all the amazing terminals he's pulled out. And I don't know if any of your magic terminals are in there, but I tell you what, if anyone's got one, it could be in this lot.
Did you put a chat in there?
It's in the Facebook group. It's in our Facebook group.
Okay.
Look at those weird colored ADMs. They're like light blue.
There was one for sale on Gumtree for ages. I was going to chase it up, but it was ended up being too much of an issue to get it shipped up to me in cans. So
look at that Model 4 with the 4 drives in it.
I know that's what are those little are those little televideo terminals with the really dodgy looking screens? Is that what we're looking at? Those in the middle.
The ones with the ones with the blue sort of
blue.
Yeah, they're I think those
are the ADMs. Yeah,
ADMs. They're pretty rare. There's a Tandy, there's a Terrace 80 in there. Oh, there's a Teletype 33 in the back left. ISR 33.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting pile of computers and
totally.
The one at the front left is I think a HP or a Tektronix. No, Tektronix. Sorry, I think Tektronix Vector Graphics. Oh, well, that's pretty interesting for a caravan, isn't it? Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's weird.
Absolutely.
I haven't read anything other than you said that's how to look. Is this what are they selling them, or is it just?
No, this is his stuff.
That's
it's just his stuff. So yeah, he's not selling them. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. So is there anything anyone wants to say before I wrap up tonight's session? No? Good. Yeah, cool. If anybody wants to get a Atari Jaguar multi-cart, they're available now. Get on the mailing list because like all these multi-carts, they disappear as quickly as they come. So once in a lifetime.
First.
What was that?
I got to get a Jag first.
Get the cart first. Get Jag later.
I would agree with that strategy, by the way.
Yeah, I should probably do that.
Yeah.
Just buy a Jaguar car. They're cheaper and easier to maintain at this point.
Yeah.
But a Jag can't play Tempest 2000. All hail the Minter.
It can if you're not a coward.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I'm going to formally end the session now. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay.